Hey everyone, Caleb with the Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with a video titled, Don't Throw Out Your Old Smelly Books. So guys, there are tons of books out there, and there are lots of books behind me. And I just want to say, a lot of the books that you guys have, even if they are old, even if they're smelly, even if they might have some mold on them, let's be honest, those things might actually be worth a good amount of money. So do not throw them away, especially not without checking them out and seeing what their value is first. However, obligatory comment right here, not every single book is going to be worth a ton. You might have a book and you might think, it's a first edition of this and this a thing. Well guys, I've had so many times where people are like, oh yeah, I got this giant stack of first editions, and those first edition books are about, it's from an author that wrote it back in the 1800s, and these first editions are actually from like 1980 or something like that, and just because the books are older than this person, or even just like sort of old, the person's like, oh, it's a first edition, it's definitely a first edition, I am rich. And in reality, well, more often than not, those books are not first editions. So I highly recommend you guys dig into that. I do have some other videos on my channel where I show you guys how to identify first edition books, so be sure to check that out once you're done here. In fact, I can always link to it. In fact, I will right there. But with that said, guys, be sure to check that video out if you guys want to know if your book is first edition. Beyond that, though, there's also the topic of knowing how to price your books. In fact, I have a video on how to look up what your book's value is a lot easier, and that includes looking up the title, the date, and the author name. That is all the information you really need to sort of find the books and find the value of what you're doing. So be sure to check out that video right there. But just a quick thing with that is the best tool I have for looking up a lot of the prices for a lot of the books that I have is actually just going on eBay. I sell on eBay, of course, but just going on eBay is actually a really effective way for me to find the price of the things. Not only because I'm going to be selling it there, but because it just has a huge array of books. Of course, not every single book out there is going to have an eBay listing. I have had quite a few that don't, but honestly, that amount of books that I go through that do not have any eBay listings or any like sold comps for, that's like 10%-ish of what I end up doing. So for you guys that are doing this, if you don't know anything about books, odds are you're going to be able to find it on eBay. Odds are you're going to get a good idea on what the price should be. I highly recommend you guys sell these books yourself, however, because a lot of resellers, including myself, we will not pay you half of the value of the book. And you guys might be thinking, you're not even gonna give me half of what my book's worth? How dare you? You're evil. Well guys, as a seller, I have to pay for a box, and I have to pay for the packaging, I have to pay for my time for listing these books, for transporting these books, all that sort of stuff. And I know you guys are gonna be like, well, that's your job as a business person. I don't care. Let's take a breath. There's more expenses than just that. I also have to pay eBay expenses, and guys, that is what gets you. That is what gets all the sellers, especially those of us who are trying to work with sort of slimmer margins, because sometimes those of us that want to pay a little bit more for books, we can't pay 80% of the value, 40% of the value, even 20% of the value sometimes, because eBay, depending on how you do your listing, eBay right off the top is going to take 15%, and that includes shipping. So if you're charging the buyer shipping, you still have to end up paying fees out of that shipping, which is annoying. And in addition to that, eBay also has it so there are promoted listing things. Well, those promoted listings, it recommends for eBay to actually like get you a sale. Sometimes that can be like 15% plus for you to actually get that sale. Personally, for me, I don't like to bid that much for my listings. I don't like to bid 15%. I normally like to do, let's say, 7%-ish. Sometimes I do more, sometimes I do less, but let's run some quick numbers. If I'm losing 15% right from the get-go, plus another 15% for the ads, that's 30%. Now, back to what I already said about all the other work that I have to do to actually get these books listed on eBay. My profit margin isn't going to be that big if I'm paying you 50% as the buyer. So that's why, all that being said, that's why I highly recommend that you guys, if you do have your own old books, go out and sell them yourself on eBay. You can make an eBay account for free. You could sell stuff on eBay for, well, you have to pay once it sells, but to get the account started, to get your stuff listed, it doesn't really cost very much money. You do have to pay a listing fee in some cases. I don't remember what the exact rules are for eBay right now. Not really my job to know that. That's your job to know that, your own due diligence. But be sure to check that stuff out, guys, if you guys want to sell your own books. Of course, a lot of people do not want to deal with it whatsoever. A lot of people will just struggle to comprehend that they might have to sit on that book for a few months as it waits to sell on eBay, because not every single book out there is going to sell in the first week. A lot of people do not like that sort of stuff. So if that is you, if you want to get your money in and out right away, go find a local bookseller, a local bookstore that will buy old antique books, that sort of stuff, that actually values those antique books. A lot of bookstores do not value antique books whatsoever. They just call them vintage and will pay you 5 cents for them, and they'll sell them for $5. A lot of people do not know the actual value of old and antique books. These books behind me, guys, almost all of them came from estate sales, libraries, and that sort of stuff, where they did not value these books for what they were worth. They told me, oh yeah, you can buy this one for $1, this one for 50 cents, this one's $5. In reality, these books are worth $20, $40, $50, $100, $500. That's the sort of profit margins you can get if you do this sort of business. Of course, this video is not necessarily geared for those of you guys doing this business, so I'm going to try to keep things a little more simple. So with that said, I did just mention that a lot of these places will have like the listed prices, what they want to get for it, and I mentioned that I'll pay that, and some of these books will be worth hundreds of dollars. And with that said, guys, a lot of the books that you can have a stack of books just like this one behind me. And this stack of books, you might think it's worth $5 because you went to the bookstore and they said, oh yeah, we'll give you $5 for them because they're just old books. They are not important. Well, you go on eBay and you find out one of these books is a first edition, and that first edition book, wow, that thing's worth 10 grand. That thing's worth 30 grand, that sort of thing. My best book that I ever got was actually from Goodwill Outlet. I paid $2.29 for it. It was the first edition of the Time Machine, an actual first edition. And guys, that thing was so valuable when I had it. There was other people on eBay with it listed for $30,000. For me, since I paid $2.29, I did not want to really ask too much, so I think I ended up like listing it relatively high, and then I got like an offer for like $6 grand or something like that, and that's what I ended up taking, because I was like, well, that's still a pretty decent profit for me. I can't complain. So that's sort of why I ended up doing for that particular one. But for you guys, if you have your own stack of books, you could sort of ask basically whatever you want for them. Of course, if you ask too high of a price, it's going to take a little bit longer to sell, especially if it's going to be like something less popular. So The Time Machine, that was one of the first science fiction books out there. In fact, I think it might have been the first alien invasion science fiction story out there. So that one has a huge value just for it. And in addition to that, it's from a major author called H.G. Wells. I mean, he was an amazing author. I still like his works. And as such, there's a lot of other people that like his books. That one sold very quickly. There's a whole lot of demand for it. Meanwhile, as you guys see, a lot of the books behind me, I mean, I do sell some of these every now and then. In fact, this little stack right here recently sold. But a lot of these books, they're from pretty small authors. They're pretty niche books, and as such, they take a whole lot longer to sell. Of course, a lot of them are absolutely gorgeous books. In fact, let me just show you guys a couple of these for gorgeous books really quick. So this one right here, guys, is from 1744, and let me actually try this to make sure it doesn't mess things up. But check out that gilding on that beautiful leather spine. Here's another one. This one's, I think this one's just $18.99 or something like that. Oh, $18.91. I'm sorry, I lied. But another beautiful spine. These books, guys, they are gorgeous pieces, but I've had them for a little while. The reason for that is these are not necessarily the fastest moving books out there. In fact, this 1744 one, that was the first one I showed you. That book, guys, it is a rather popular book, but it's in French. Guys, when you have some books that are in different languages, sometimes they take a lot longer to sell. Fortunately, eBay does have international stuff so you can actually sell internationally, and they deal with the customs. Thank you, Jesus. Dealing with customs was terrible. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that anymore. eBay takes care of that now. But sometimes I'm not going to be offering the same price as someone in France selling that French book. Sometimes I'm going to be the only American listing it, and I don't want to take not a lot of money for it. I'm asking a lot of money for that one because I sort of like having it on my shelf. I mean, it's really cool having a book from 1744. That's the oldest book I've actually come across in this business, and I really enjoy just having it and showing it off because it's like, wow, the thing's gorgeous. As you guys saw, I like showing it off. It's very pretty. But with all that said and done, though, guys, a lot of books that you guys will have that you might think, I'm just going to throw these away. I'm just going to donate them. Please don't donate them. Please don't throw them away. Books are history. If you donate them or throw them away, they are probably going to end up in the dumpster both ways. Something with that much history, something that old, in my world at least, it sort of deserves to last a little bit longer. please don't just throw it away. At the very least, donate it to a bookstore or even a bookseller. I know you guys are going to be like, well, they're going to make money off of me. I don't give a rip. If you're going to throw it away, please allow someone to be able to feed their family with the money that you would have thrown away otherwise, because again, guys, these books can be very valuable, very beautiful, and again, they just have so much history in them. So if you guys don't want to deal with it whatsoever, give them away. Don't throw them away. If you guys do want to deal with them and you guys do want to get some good money on it, well, there's two options for you. If you want to sell them right away, bookstores, book buyers are out there. They buy them all the time. If you guys want to make some good money for it, though, you have to start your own eBay store or some other site, but I highly recommend you guys check out eBay first. It's really low barrier to entry, really easy to use. It's a little confusing with some of the weird things they do, but you don't need to deal with all that stuff. You can do pretty simple stuff with it. But with that said, on the eBay route, it can take some time for you to sell some stuff. I have some books that I've had listed for a couple of years now. If you guys want your books gone tomorrow, well, A, you have to sell them for really, really dirt cheap. B, you could do them for an auction. I think the shortest term auction is something like 3 days, so you can try to auction off your books. That is an option as well. Or our last option, well, you could just suck it up and wait to have those books sell. You cannot have immediate sales and all the money that you could potentially get. You sort of have to mix and match on what you're going to take. You can either sell it fast and not make a lot of money, or you can make as much money as possible and again, wait for a couple of years for those things to sell. So that is some stuff to keep in mind. With all that said and done, though, guys, I hope this video was helpful for those of you guys that are looking at getting rid of some old books. Do not reach out to me and say that you have some old books to sell me. I do not like to buy books online, especially not through my YouTube channel. I am literally just doing this business with books that I can find in person, with the exception of a few books right behind me right here that I actually did buy online just because they were there when I was listing the other ones, and I was like, that's too good of a deal. Aside from that, guys, I do not buy stuff online, and I especially don't like having people reach out to me. I have it happen all the time, even though I've made it clear many, many times that I do not buy online, especially not when people reach out to me on some random thing and are like, I have this book, give me $500 for it, and the book's worth $5. It's annoying. There are plenty of other resellers that do like to have people reach out to them. I'm not one of them. I like to be left alone. I'm working on moving out to the middle of nowhere for that reason of being left alone, and actually mostly just so I can actually do stuff with my land and have some fun businesses down the road. It's not just be left alone. I'm actually a people person. I'm just not a people person with the internet. With that said, though, guys, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please be sure to drop a like, drop a comment, that sort of stuff. I do have a Facebook community that you guys can join. It's linked down in the description, and there is a lot of there is a section where you guys can try to sell your books, and there are a lot of resellers there that do buy and sell stuff online, so you guys can join that community. There are other communities on Facebook and other such retail sites. There's lots of ways you guys could sell your books if you really want to. In my Facebook community, please do not make a post to sell your books. Those clog things up, and it's not the point of my particular Facebook community. There are Facebook communities for that. Do not do it in mine. There is a designated post that you guys can comment down on that you can try to sell your books with. Again, that's just for organization and to try to keep that group meant for what it's actually meant for. With that said and done, again, I hope this video was helpful. If you guys would like to watch some more videos, I have a couple linked right there. And look, a subscribe button. You guys can hit that, and if you guys do, you'll be able to see more videos from me. With that said and done, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.